Touchdown, back on road. Counting money, man, you know how it goes. Hit the VIP and tell my strike a pose. Hop in mode. Touchdown, man, we back on road. Spending money, man, you know how it goes. Hit the VIP and tell my strike a pose. Hop in mode.
Yo, this your boy Q Bar. You already know I'm the host of the Barcode Podcast 414. And today, man, I got a special person today, man. My former head coach at Milwaukee Vincent High School, man. Hall of Fame coach, five-time state title winner, man. A former head coach for CEDARBURG High School, and y'all may have seen him on the McDonald's All-American team. Being an assistant coach as well. Coached a lot of wonderful players, man. Y'all got to give it up for my boy Tom DIENER. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man.
Doing good. Now, you made us play Summer League in Fond du Lac, and I know you're from Fond du Lac.
Yeah.
Tell us about your upbringing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I grew up playing basketball. I grew up playing all sorts of sports, and we used to play in the driveway. And I had 3 older brothers, and they were all good. One of my brothers was first team All-State in football and basketball, back in the day. And so I grew up just playing sports, and really, that's where I learned to compete. And and that's what the coaching thing. The people ask, how'd you do it? What were you successful? I think learning how to compete at an early age. I mean, we'd play in the driveway and we'd be fighting and clawing, just to win. We hated to lose, and that's how I grew up. And that really set the foundation for me as a player, and then as a coach. So I grew up in Fond du Lac, playing. I was All-State in high school, one of the best players in the state. I ended up playing at UW Green Bay. I'm in the Hall of Fame at UW Green Bay. We had a game against Wisconsin, at Wisconsin, and I was named the MVP of that tournament. It was a little tournament, and we ended up playing Wisconsin at Wisconsin in Madison in the championship game. And I had like 20-some points or whatever. I had a little point guard, and back then they didn't have the 3-point shot.
Yeah.
But I really kicked ass, and we lost to Wisconsin double overtime, and the officials cheated us. But anyway, so I grew up playing the game, and I grew up competing, and I was around great players and whatnot, and that really helped me. And then, college, I had a great college experience. We played really good basketball and played for a good coach and learned a lot from him. And then I had a free agency tryout with the Milwaukee Bucks, and I was in camp, stayed at the Hyatt Regency down in Milwaukee. I was at the camp for 2 weeks. And I played with Sidney Moncrief and Bob Lanier. Don, when we're done, I'll show you. I got all the letters and all the stuff from the tryout. But that experience was just awesome, and I played well and had a good experience, and so all that kind of stuff growing up, learning how to compete and playing basketball and at a high level, really kind of set me up as a coach. Because I think the most important thing for players and coaches is to learn how to compete.
Yeah.
And there's 2 ways you compete against your opponent, right? Mm-hmm. But the really great players, they learn to compete against themselves. Mm-hmm. If you talk to Michael Jordan or you talk to these great players, they learn to compete about themselves. And what do I mean by that? Being the best player or coach that you can be, instead of comparing yourself, all these comparison stuff. I don't really like that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's just really quickly, my story about sports and growing up in Fond du Lac. Big thing was I had 3 older brothers, and they were all into sports, and they kicked my ass, and everything, and they were damn good athletes and whatnot. Everything that was real significant in my life is my dad died when I was 12, and to this day it was a sad thing. We had a tight family, and he died in the middle of the night. He had a heart attack, and I heard it happen, waiting for the ambulance and all that kind of stuff. And that's when I really started praying a lot more, and I developed a pretty solid relationship with God when I was 12 because of that, with my dad dying. And the other thing was I really got determined to be successful.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to show my dad, you know, what I could do. So that, you know, those are the really kind of important things about my youth that really set me up to become the player and then the coach at Vincent. Because, you know, I didn't get to Vincent until I was, I think, 38 years old.
Wow.
I mean, so I had a lot of experience as a player, and I had been to, I think, 3 different high schools before I got to Vincent. So there was a lot of lead up and there's a lot of experience to coming to Vincent to be able to do what we did there.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway.
Yeah. So leading up to Vincent, you said you coached at other school. Was it like middle school?
Yeah,
high school.
Yeah, I started. No, I went right out of college. I started coaching. I was at Green Bay West for 1 year, and then I was at St. Mary Springs, which is in Fond du Lac, for 4 years, and then I was at Muskego for 3 years. So that was all. So what is that? That's like 8 years prior to getting to to Vincent. So I had a lot of experience, mostly with just white players. You know, I didn't have a lot of experience with African American players. You know, and although when I played at UW Green Bay, we had a guy, Nate Barnes, was a great player, 6'9" dude. He never played high school basketball, but he was able to go up to Green Bay and play for us, and he was a phenomenal player. And man, he would tell stories about the gangs down in Chicago in his life. He lived in Cabrini Green. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's where he lived. He used to tell me that, he'd seen people shot and stuff, and they left him alone because he was a good hooper. Yeah. And then back in the day, if you were a really good hooper, they left him alone. Yeah, you know, so I had a really good relationship with Nate. To this day, we still stay in touch a little bit, but he was a great player, so... Yeah. But anyway, so there was a lot of lead up, a lot of experience, a lot of things that happened to me to prepare me before I got to Vincent.
Yeah, but what was it like? What was your first take going to a school with, you know, a lot of kids from the inner city, a lot of black kids?
Right.
And stuff? Were you a little nervous or anything you wanted to?
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you, I remember interviewing for the job. You know, Gloria Erkins interviewed me, and they had a staff there, and you know, some of the questions revolved about, hey, can you relate to inner city kids, black kids? I see you've coached here and there, but you haven't really, you know, coached with black kids. But I felt pretty confident because I really knew my shit. I mean, I could play. I could really play the game. I was a damn good player. A little while, I'll tell you a little story about Rodney Buford and that whole thing. But I wasn't really nervous, but I think that I understood that it wasn't going to be easy. Mm-hmm. But I knew how I wanted our guys to play. I knew how I wanted to play man-to-man defense, motion offense, and just be really disciplined and tough. And so I knew that. And the thing about, and I've coached Chinese players, I've coached little kids, big kids, white kids, black, I've coached every type of kid. Yeah. And here's the thing that I knew. If you know your shit and you believe what you're teaching and you're coaching and you're passionate and you learn how to compete, everything else falls in line. Yeah. I knew that. Yeah. So, but let me give you an example.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
The Rodney Buford story is a good one. The second day, first day of practice, very first day, I got Rodney Buford, Shad Washington, and Demetrius Brown, 3 guys that were Division I basketball players. They're really good players. Demetrius Brown was Division I football and Division I basketball. Shad Washington, like I said earlier, Division I football, Division I basketball. And Rodney, you know, ended up playing in the NBA. I had those 3 guys. I didn't know them at all. And when I first got the job, they looked at me and they was like, what in the hell we got here? This guy's coaching, because they went from Bob Crawford. Yeah. Bob Crawford was a big African-American dude, really. 6'5", impressive man. Actually played college basketball, ran track, ran in the Olympics and track. Really impressive dude. Yeah. Everything that I wasn't. Here I am, a little 5'9" white guy. What the hell is this? You know, so Rodney's looking at me, you know, and they're all looking at, what the hell is this? So we have the first day of practice. And I knew that I had to, gain their trust and their respect. And I knew that was going to be hard. So the first day we have practice, and man, they're just, again, these are kids that had never been taught how to compete. How to play hard and compete.
Yeah.
And so the first day of practice comes in, man, I just, God, they're just going through the motions. They're not, they're not playing hard and all this kind of stuff. They're, and so second day, I after that first day, oh man, this is
It's a shit show.
Because you got to understand, these three guys I'm talking about, these guys are studs, man. These guys, I'm talking about football, and these guys are unreal. Demetrius Brown, Chad Washington, Rodney Buford, these guys are really top-notch athletes. And so we have practice, and they're just going through the motions. They're not playing hard, whatever, and it's like, so I'm going, what the shit, how. So the next day, I said, I had them start playing one-on-one. I wanted to see who would compete.
Yeah.
Okay, I had 12 guys, whatever. Which one of these guys know how to compete? So I had them, I split them up to play one-on-one at baskets. And I had them playing, and then I think I switched once or whatever. And then I just, I got a temper.
I was just about to say, when did you explode?
Then I went off. I mean, I think I kicked the ball up, and it just, I was using some pretty colorful language that I can't use out here in Cedarburg. Let's just say that, man. Things were a little bit different out here in Cedarburg than they were down there in Vincent. Anyway, so I went off, man, and I just, whatever, and I said, sit your ass down under that basket right now, right down there. And I remember I didn't even have basketball shoes on. I had I don't know, Keds or some shitty tennis shoe on that's white people wear. And I sat their ass down. I said, send out your best player. I'm gonna play them one-on-one. I'm gonna kick their ass, something like that, And I did. I asked them who they wanted to come out here and play me one-on-one. Because at the time, I was about 30. I still could damn play. I could still really play. I knew I would kick their ass. I don't care who they sent out there.
Who did they send out? Rodney?
Well, they sent out Rodney. And I kind of figured they'd send out Rodney. And I knew I would have, because Rodney didn't know how to compete. So we laced it up. I just kicked them, I think 3 games. I mean, we played for 45. Just kicked them 3 games in a row. Bam, bam, bam. Just sliced them up. Tried to piss them off. Tried to get them, because I really wanted to get that out of them. I was trying to. My objective wasn't to prove that I could play. My objective was maybe to get a little respect, to let these guys know that, hey, I know what I'm doing, I can play. But the other thing was, I knew I had to teach these guys how to compete. So I was trash talking, right? Trash talking with him, trying to get him. Couldn't really get him going. And just kicked his ass for 3 games. And then, I think I sat him back down, and I just, chewed him out, yelled at him for about 10, 15 minutes. And then that was the start. From that day on, man, it was different. Yeah. They respected me, and they were willing to listen to me. Now, it wasn't like they could just turn it on right away, but that was important. It goes to your question about, how do you make that transition, being a white guy and not having a lot of experience that way. But again, I get back to, I could play, and I wasn't taking any shit. And if we were gonna go to blows, then fine, I might get my ass kicked, but I'm gonna represent, and they figured that out. So and that's the way we roll from day one. And then we played man-to-man defense. And man-to-man defense requires discipline and toughness. Yeah. I mean, zone doesn't. Zone, you can hide, you can do that. So that's why I believe in man-to-man, and that's why we played man-to-man. And everything started with that toughness and the learning how to compete and those types of things.
Yeah, for sure. You laid the blueprint, man. And even when I coach now and when I play DIENER, people think I'm crazy on the court, and I always blame you. Man, I get that from DIENER, man. You really shape me. You know what I'm saying? Many other players too. You know what I'm saying? So, but who's on that coaching staff too? When you first walked in?
Well, I mean, that's the thing about that, Vincent. We had. First of all, Gloria Erkins. Yeah. Gloria Erkins was the single most important person to me and to all you guys. and I needed her. So, and I considered her like another coach. She just supported you guys and supported me, and we problem solved. It was her and I that did most of the problem solving. But I had Gary DePerry. Gary was a no nonsense guy. He was he was all about competing and doing things right. And the first guy I brought in was Johnny Allen, because I knew John Allen from Fond du Lac. Actually, John Allen played basketball up at Marion College up in Fond du Lac. When I got the job, I called John. We met, and I said, "Hey, John, come on in." And so he was actually, so it was John Allen, Gary DePerry, and Dick Sykes was the other guy, Sykes, first year. And so we had a good thing there. We had a good staff. But again, Gloria was huge. I just respect her so much. First of all, for hiring me, to have the foresight. She made a good decision, and she hired me, and she always supported me. That's why when I got inducted in the Hall of Fame a couple years ago, I had her induct me, Gloria Erkins. That we had a good staff, and it was a village, man. It was a village. Yeah.
Now I heard this, Diener. How you feel about this? Tell us about this.
Yeah.
When I had these basketball debates, I always hear people say, Coach DePerry. I don't know really much about him. He was coached at Tech, but they trying to make it seem like he laid the foundation down, and that was like his philosophy.
No.
How you feel about that?
I know. Yeah, no. So when I got the job, I decided that we're going to play man-to-man defense and motion offense, and it was my system. And Gary, he helped a lot, and he was a no-nonsense kind of guy. We were on the same page. We were always on the same page, in terms of how we wanted to do things, But I don't. That's kind of. That's not really the way things shook out there. I don't know. I'm surprised people would be saying that.
Yeah. I always wanted to ask that because, of course, I got your back. I got your
Gary
back.
ended up going to Tech, and he was a head coach at Tech for maybe 6-7 years.
Okay.
And I don't think we ever lost to Tech when Gary was the coach there.
I think we was in the beginning. Remember we lost my sophomore year when we was on our first year on varsity.
Yeah.
Remember that Brian Montgomery kid? He went off on us at Vincent.
Yeah.
That was the only time we lost to Tech.
Yeah. No, I meant was Win Parkinson the coach then?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. See, Win Parkinson, I'll tell you, the guy that helped me a lot was Win Parkinson, was the coach at Milwaukee Tech for many, many years. And he ran a very disciplined system, just like we did at Vincent.
Yeah.
Most of the teams in the city conference, when we got to Vincent, was up and press, run and gun, take bad shots, up and down. That's what it was.
Yeah.
What we did at Vincent changed the city conference, because all of a sudden we weren't taking bad shots, and we were playing defense, and we were playing together. And the only guy that did that previous to that was Win Parkinson.
Yeah.
Even King was going up and down. They were all going up and down, but they all had to change their style once we started playing the way we did. I mean, you got to understand, we won 5 state championships in 5 and 6 years. I mean, that's a pretty good butt, And I think, I mean, and then Polk came in. Rick Polk was a really huge part of what we did. Gary, I think, was with us for the first 3 state championships, and then he left and he became, I think he was AD for a while, and then the last 2 state championships with Tatum, Polk was my guy. Polk had come in and he really helped a lot.
Yeah.
So I got to give a lot of props to Polk and Erkins, and then Gary early on. Yeah. But we all kind of did it together.
Yeah. And speaking of the offense, Diener, you coach a lot of talent, man. A lot of guys, they can't get up and down the floor.
Yeah.
And we had Red, man. That was almost like a star. What made you put that in the offense?
To win?
Yeah, I know a lot of people. Yeah, I know why.
To win, Q. And did we win?
Yeah.
We did win.
Yeah.
Did it help us win? Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This is what teams wanted to do. We never had great shooters. Here's the thing that's still true to today's game. Everybody thinks they can shoot, but not everybody can. You know, and so we never took, in my opinion, bad shots. So. Teams that would play us would want to just sit back in a zone and tempt us to shoot outside shots. You know, we had classic games where, teams with not nearly as much talent as us, they'd sit in a 2-3 zone and they'd want us just to take bad shots, and that's how they could beat us. So we weren't going to do that. Again, I learned how to compete. I learned how to win at an early age in that driveway. When I was playing, my older brothers one-on-one, I knew exactly what I needed to do, and it wasn't take bad shots, and I better box out, and I better get loose balls, and all that kind of stuff. So I took those lessons and took them, to my coaching. So that four corners, that's actually one of the greatest coaches that ever lived was Dean Smith for North Carolina, and that's where I got that. And we used it to our benefit. If teams, I remember, Will, you didn't like that. A lot of players didn't like it, but I always saw the big picture. My goal was not to please Aunt Susie or to get style points. Like if you have a special two-handed dunk this way, I think you still only get 2 points. Right? So I always just would point to the scoreboard, and so I was just wanted to win, man. And I knew that way of playing would help us win. It would pull people out of that zone. It's funny, I just ran into a guy. This is actually, we had a game down at the state tournament against Wausau West, one of the first few years. And they did exactly what you're talking about. They went in a 2-3 zone, and we were only up by about 4 points or whatever it was. And we held the ball, and then they wouldn't come out. People were calling us racist names. They used to say we're cheating and all this kind of stuff. They're so freaking stupid. And we close out the half with boom pass. Yanders hits a 3, and we go up. And so we pull them out of that zone. I ran into the guy that was on the team from Wausau West about 3 weeks ago. My daughter's coaching these little kids. Guy comes up to me, he goes, "Hey, you're Tom Diener." I said, Yeah. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, I was on that West team, the stall. They call it the stall game. The stall game, and we ended up beating that team by like 20 points because we pulled them out of that zone. You think we're gonna just go down there and chuck up bad shots and let them go back and forth and take? Hell no. I'll tell you what. We were so disciplined. We did not take bad shots. Will can attest to that, man, because I was always on Will's ass. I wouldn't let Will take an outside shot, but Will got really damn good at the 15-foot jumper, man. You had a great in-between game. Your senior year, you became such a really, really good player. And it was because of that in-between game. It wasn't because you were shooting threes. But I'll take credit for that because I disciplined your ass, and I made you learn what you could do and what you can't do. And you became just a really good game. That 10-footer, that 12-footer, that 15-footer, man, you get in there and there aren't many players that can do that today. And that's the other thing that we did really, really well at Vincent is we defined roles. Players don't like to be defined as roles, but that's what we did. If you could shoot, then you were going to, like Robert Yanders, he was a guy that could shoot the ball. Marshall Williams wasn't a great shooter. Jose Winston wasn't a great shooter. James Wright, his rule was nothing but putbacks. Ask him. To this day, you're not real happy. But what happened? We won. So that role definition is really, really important. That's part of that learning to compete. Because if you really want to win, I mean, like I do. I mean, I haven't met anybody. I really want to win, and I'm going to do whatever that takes. Now, then you're going to learn to not take bad shots. You guys have been there. You play pickup ball. You play with guys that they're just chucking it up there. Well, shit. If you want to win, like this county thing this weekend.
Okay.
I'll tell you who's going to win. The team that's going to take good shots. That's going to be a big part of it. All those guys there are trying to show out, shooting their own individual thing.
Yeah.
If you want to win as a team, you don't give a shit who shoots the ball. You just want to make sure you can have a good shot. And that's what we did.
Yeah, and we definitely did that. And I caught, well, I ain't gonna even say just me, but I know like Willa thought, we was coming out of middle school, we was very, very talented. And when we came to Vincent and start playing varsity with you, like I went from being a guard to playing power forward with you. And our roles changed and everything, and caught a lot of backlash behind that stuff. And I wanted to ask you, did you know what type of play? I know you knew about like Nick and the playground guys, but did you know that how good Marquise was and how I was and Willithon was coming from middle school?
So all I have to do is watch you play.
Okay.
That's the thing. I went and saw Kevon Looney play at the end of his 8th grade year. He was down there playing, and I went over to his dad, Doug, and I wasn't even really recruiting him. I was just there to watch some players. And I went over to his dad, and I never said that to Kevon, but I said, I said, your son is going to really be special. I left it right there. But I could tell in 8th grade that kid was going to the NBA, So I really, because I played so much basketball and I got so skilled and so competitive, I'm really good. So I know all the skills that you have to have. And I can look at a guy and I can see where they're headed. I can tell what they're doing and what they're not doing real quick. So in terms of individual guys, whether it's you or you, you were a slasher. I'm going to let you shoot outside shots, but man, you were athletic and you were a slasher, and you could rebound, and there's a lot you could do. I just told you what Will could do.
Yeah.
Now I required everybody to play. If you can play defense, and I ran in at CEDARBURG, man, I had these soft kids that I had to get them. We played D at CEDARBURG.
Yeah.
We took charges and we played D. We really did. We went up against that Washington team and they were loaded.
Yeah.
We played great D again. Now they killed us on the boards. We didn't box out as well as we could, but so role definition is really important, and understanding. I don't see that today. A lot of people don't. They can't look at players and they just see if the ball goes in. If it goes in, oh, he can shoot. Well, hell no, that's not the way it works. You got to look at all the pivoting, the passing, the vision, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So I knew exactly what the hell you guys could do and not do, and then I put you in the roles that I thought you could help yourself and help us win.
Yeah. Going back to the beginning, when you won your first championship, how did that make you feel? Especially coming to it.
That was the most special one for me and for us. There was a player we had. His name was Shad Washington, and just a tremendous story. He such a nice guy and good person, and as the season went on, I think we lost like 6 games that year. It was one of those deals where the team just got better and better and better, and Shad wasn't. He didn't learn how to compete until we got into the tournament, and then we kept working on it, and that team. So that's 3 years in. So it took me 3 years to teach those kids how to compete and play to win and get after it. And it was just kind of the same thing for Shad Washington. So we're kind of struggling during the season. We didn't win the conference title. We lost to Hicks from Riverside. Yeah, Dave Hicks was a great player. And so now we're going into the tournament, and all of a sudden, Shad Washington learned how to compete, and he became a man-child in the game. Now, Shad was about 6'3", but he was built like an NFL football player, and he went to Wisconsin on a full football scholarship. He could have gone to Wisconsin maybe on a basketball scholarship. He was just a really great player. But the missing link for Shad was that he just wasn't. Hadn't learned how to compete, like what we talked about earlier. So we get into the tournament, and all of a sudden he's just rebounding, playing defense, finishing, doing all those things that we were hoping he would do, and he led us to the state championship. So that's such a you know, and the first time we do it, you know, and nobody liked us at Vincent, you know, especially at state. I mean, that's a whole different. We could talk forever about going over to Madison in those days. I mean, you know, for 20 years they didn't have a black official at the game, so we always got, you know, screwed there and all that kind of stuff. But that first year in 1996 with Shad Washington and Gary DePerry and I working so closely together and that kind of stuff, and Gloria Erkins and then we had Jose, you know, and you know, for all that to come together, because it was such a build up. You know, like I said, we lost I think 6 games during the season, and we just hadn't gotten what I was really trying to get to them. But then you could just feel it come together into the tournament, and it went all the way right to the state championship game. Really an amazing season, really truly was.
Yeah. And man, I know that for you it had to be very, very special, you know, especially making that transition, you know, being at the Caucasian schools and then coaching African American kids and you know, getting them to buy into your system, and they bought in, and you know what I'm saying?
Well, we were off. I mean, we cried, man. We loved each other. There was some love there, man. I mean, there's some serious love there in that whole deal. We fought and struggled, and we persevered, and we, you know, we had to beat good teams back in the day, man. I always thought back in the day, like in the 90s and the 2000s, that there was probably at the Division I level, there was always about 10 teams that could probably be state champion. You know, I mean, they were good teams. Like that particular year, we beat McDonald's in the state championship game, and they had a couple D1 guys. They were good. We always had to beat good teams. It wasn't like we were beating bad teams. You know, in the city conference, I used to talk to guys. Back in those days, it was harder to win the city conference championship than it was to win the state tournament. It was.
I can bet.
Because, you know, back in those days, you had, you know, Parkinson over at Tech, you had guys at King, you know, you had Gordon over at Washington. I mean, you had, Bayview was tough, you know, and I mean, you had some tough temes back then. So we had to bring it. They didn't like us much because we brought that discipline in, that half-court style, man. They would get.
They didn't like that.
I mean, Gordon and those guys. I mean, they weren't having it.
They didn't. They definitely didn't like that. You know, people always called it, man, y'all holding the ball, y'all stalling, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We won, but you got a chance to win back too, though, and that was very special too. Can you tell us about, you know, winning the back?
Well, it's really hard. You know, I think
that's tough to do, DIENER. That's very
well. Yeah, it's really hard. Couple things. First of all, Jose Winston's like the Bill Russell of Wisconsin high school basketball. I mean, you know, I could make an argument that Bill Russell was the best player that ever played basketball. I could do that, and sometimes I think he is. You know. And you look at Jordan, but because, you know, Bill Russell won high school, college, Olympics, and with the Celtics. All he did was win. And why did he do that? Because he was so smart and good. He's just a great player. Jose's the same thing. Jose's, you know, you can make an argument that Jose Winston was the best high school player this state's ever produced. You know, he won 3 state championships in a row, and he led just like Bill Russell. You know, Jose was he's such a humble guy and hard-working guy, and again, just wanted to win. He got it early. He got that he came to me. He's one guy that came to me that knew how to compete, and he knew how to compete against himself. That's the thing about Jose. You don't hear Jose talking about, you know, comparisons or putting other people down. He learned at an early to compete against himself, and that really helped us a lot. And he was just a great, quiet leader that way, just a tremendous player. So when I think of that, you know, that 3 in a row, I first think of him. The other thing that was really cool about that last one, that third one in 1998, we played Middleton, which was pretty much an all-white team, and it was over in Madison, and you know, everybody loves the teams from Madison over there. It was a really heated thing, and it was a great game. They played the same way we did. They took the air out of the ball. I think the final score was 43-42. Yeah, but because they played the same way. tough man-to-man defense. They had a bunch of like Division III tough guys that were really good high school players that could play. Anyways, a really hard fought back and forth, same kind of thing. And either team could have won, and we ended up winning. And after that game, Jose, this is kind of leadership he had. After the game, both teams went to center court, and Jose led both teams in a prayer. So you got to understand, Middleton just got beat, in the state championship game, and the game was going at it, and we had just won, so we were humble. Jose was humble in that moment by taking those guys in there at half court, and then the Middleton guys had the ability to do that too, and they were competitive kids. They were fierce competitors. So there's a lot that I think of when I think of the three-peat in that year, but mostly I think of Jose's leadership and learning how to compete and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was definitely special. And that team ended up 9th in the country. That's the other thing that when at the end of the year, we ended up 9th in the country. We should have ended up probably like 3rd, but we only had one loss. We lost to Minneapolis North up in Minneapolis, and the officials, it was over in Rockford. The officials cheated us. I don't even want to tell that story. It was just brutal.
I watched that game.
Yeah, it was just brutal. I mean, there was 0.5 seconds in the game. They got the thing in, bounced it, threw it up, and they gave them the crazy thing. But anyway, that team finished legitimately one of the best teams in the country. And as a matter of fact, at Vincent, we had 4 teams that finished in the top 20 in the United States by USA Today, which was the legitimate ranking at the end of the year. Now, there's been teams over the years that they bounce in there, and then what really matters is when it's all said and done and the season's over and the chalk's on the chalkboard, where do you lie? Well, we had 4 teams that finished in the top 20 at the end of the year, USA Today, which was pretty dang good. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Like I said, I watched that game a couple months ago. I actually sent it to James Wright. He went to see it. So, and y'all had
which game?
The game y'all lost to Minneapolis.
Oh, you saw?
Yeah, I watched
somebody
it.
got that?
YouTube. It's on YouTube.
No.
Yeah, I watched
come on.
I sent it to James. I watched it.
They had Khalid Alamin.
Yes.
He ended up playing for UConn. And
was it UConn? Yeah, I think it was.
But he wasn't even their best player. He's tough. Man, they were loaded. But yeah, that was a crazy game. Yeah.
And y'all had a good team too, around them three-peats. Like y'all had, like you said, Rob Yanders, Jose.
Yeah.
James Wright. Oh, Marshall Williams too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so many great players. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to chime in on our show, our story, our class, 2005. A lot of people, even to this day, when they even talk about basketball, they're like, man, y'all supposed to at least win one.
Yeah.
And, we went up there, fell short twice. You know what I'm saying? What you think happened?
Well, again, those games are there were so many good teams then. You're not gonna win every time you get on the floor. You're just not. I don't know that you can say that, I think that the effort was there, the commitment was there. I think we did the best we can, And, does it feel good? Hell no. But there are no teams that win every game they play. I mean, that's just not going to happen, and specifically, we got beat by some good teams. It wasn't, and maybe we could have done things a little differently or whatever, but that's the game of basketball, man. You watch these NBA guys, look at this thing. One night, Miami looks like, oh shit, they're going to win. And the next night, you got Denver's now, they're going to kick. I mean, it's just crazy. That's what's great about the game. It's so exciting. It's such a challenge. It can be so frustrating. And that's exactly why you got to learn to compete against yourself. And most of the people that get critical of people that lost in a situation are people that have never been there. Mm-hmm. They've never fought the good fight. If you fought the good fight, you understand it ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Yeah.
They don't hand a victory to you. and not when you're playing, other really good teams. So that's kind of how I think of it. I don't really break down, we should have called a timeout. Itched our ear or whatever. I think more in those broad sweeps like that.
Yeah, well, I only actually.
That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I mean, I don't even think about. I don't even look at any of them old games. I just really don't. I've always kind of looked forward and forward and forward. I'm starting to do a little bit more of that. That's why I'm glad to see you guys, man.
Yeah,
I really do. Because in the end, this is all just about people and friendships and stuff.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
I'm really happy you came.
Yeah. And the only reason I asked that too, Diener, is because you laid the foundation. Like you won your first championship, and then you do the three-peat, and you know how you said that statement earlier about Looney.
Yeah.
You know how we just came in. Like, did you feel like these group of guys can win? Like, you know what I mean, Diener? Like,
yeah,
because we wasn't like you wanted Billy to be that Jose, and Billy wasn't. Billy admitted that he was selfish and he wanted to do all that. Like when we didn't have that wizard with that ball. Yeah. Like, did you feel like I don't know if these guys could win or not?
It wasn't like that. To me, it was like we have to do this to win, and if we didn't, we didn't. So it wasn't really like that. Billy, it's funny. I go to the Brown Deer Y in the morning and work out every day, and I'm in there, and there's some kids in the lobby there, and I go, hey, I'm an old white guy, African American guys, little guys, and I could tell they play ball. Where are you going? Brown Deer, and I asked them about, Jose and Sanjay, and then and I said, I used to coach it, and somehow it ended up that it was Billy Mimis's kid was one of the kids that I was sitting there with. So then we ended up talking about Billy, and I told this kid that about the game. Billy had a really good game for us against Nicolay, man, where he pretty much.
Oh yeah, that was our.
He was making some shots. That was probably his best game, but he really helped us in that game against Nicolay. But anyway, it's.
Hey, Diener, I know this long time ago, man. Me, Marcus, Javon, all of us, we cracked jokes about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't in practice that day. You remember that day you said Marcus Landry is Michael Jordan?
Is what?
Marcus Landry. Pass Marcus Landry the ball. He's Michael Jordan for you guys.
Well,
you remember that?
That sounds about right. Because here's the thing.
Here's the thing. You say that, bro?
Well, because I'm trying to define roles. Here's the thing. When you got, you think if you got Michael, Landry was really a good player.
Yeah.
Landry,
no doubt.
the game needed to go through Landry.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to do. And so it's like, damn it,
You're Michael Jordan the ball.
Yeah. Hey, you're a role player. You're in there to get him the ball. I think that was the point was just more. Me. I was in your face. I was I just told it like it was, and that was that. I was brutal that way, but I didn't have time to dance around. The one thing about me, I mean what I say, and I say what I mean, and I ain't bullshitting, and I'm not going to be. I'm going to be honest, and that's the way I coached. And so in that situation, I mean, isn't that your take on it?
Well, I wasn't in practice. Everybody came the next day and was like, Q, I'm glad you weren't in practice. I'm like, oh, what happened? Diener said that Marcus is Michael Jordan. I said, yeah, I'm going to get on Diener ass, man. We weren't seeing eye to eye. But, man, another thing, too, Diener, how did it make you feel when I tore my ACL?
Well, I was really frustrated because I saw it coming. And I saw it coming when you decided to play football, because in my perspective, you weren't a football player. Yeah. You were a basketball player from day one. And when you made that decision, then they had you play receiver. And it's easy to get your knee cut when you're playing receiver, especially in the city conference where the football's not very good. Now, Vincent was a little better and had it kind of going, but you had a lot of cheap shot players and a lot of bad techniques. It was a dangerous game. And for you to decide to play football and then put you out in the way, I saw it coming. So I wasn't surprised. I was pissed when you decided to play football. That's when I was pissed. Yeah. And, I couldn't really, a lot of people couldn't understand that because, most people feel, play all the sports and, and Gloria Erkins was pushing all the sports and, Mark was doing the best. They wanted to build that football up, so they wanted you guys all to play. So I got that. So I wasn't going to go and say, I never really said, I think I mentioned it to you. I said, do you really like football? Or do you think you should play football?
I thought we kept it away from you.
Yeah. No, you guys tried. But, well, I knew you were there, So when that happened, I kind of knew it was going to, because you weren't a football player. You ran straight up and down. You're just not, and the position they put you at. Did you like football? No, honestly, come on now.
If I played, I'd rather tackle. See, I was on defense.
Okay.
And then they put me on
that would have been better than
that was different.
I didn't like that because they put you at receiver, right?
Yeah.
No, I heard. Yeah. Did he run you over to? Did he have you doing these slants and stuff?
No, we was doing like.
How'd you get hurt? I saw it coming. See, it still pisses me off. You can tell. But what pisses me off is that you played football because I don't think you should have played football. I just think you should have focused on basketball because you would have been a much better basketball player and you would have, I think good. Anyway, so that's what pisses me off.
Yeah. But no, I was initially on defense and I guess somebody on the starters on the offensive end was like bullshitting around and Jones told me to switch. I said, no, I want to just play defense. He's like, oh, you want to bear crawl to the fence? And I had to switch and then a freshman went at my knee and tore my ACL.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Back then, the city, none of those guys knew how to play football. They did, and there weren't enough of them that knew how to play football.
Yeah.
And so then it was dangerous, and especially to a guy like you. I wasn't surprised. I remember when they told me that. I think Polk told me. He's a guy. They were kind of afraid to tell me. And I said, "Oh shit!" I wasn't even upset because I knew it was going to happen. I already was playing. Because I'll tell you what. I firmly believe that you were the missing link on that team. I really do. We needed what you had. You fit really good in that slasher role and that rebounding and slashing role. I think that our team would have been way better with you. So, I'd never say we'd win the state championship because that's a hard thing to do. And, those games are 50-50. I don't care how you slice it. When you get to the state tournament, them games are pretty much 50-50. Because...
Well, it wasn't 50-50 when we played Fond du Lac. I feel like that was easy.
Oh, yeah.
When we played against your brother.
Yeah.
Man.
How about... You know what? They had
DIENER, right?
Yeah. They had 4 points in the first half.
Yeah.
We shut... Talk about...
That's not 50-50, dude.
Yeah. Well, not that game. Yeah. No. But we didn't they have 4?
Yeah.
They had 4 at half.
You did a good job, man.
Well, no. Me? No. We played defense. Remember, they were trying to drive and doing all that stuff, and we kicked their butt. Yeah, that was a nice win. That felt good to me because what you don't know is there was a time when we went up to Fond du Lac, and we played at Fond du Lac with Jose and that crew, and the place was packed, and they beat us bad. And
wow, really?
They beat us bad, and we were young, and they were good. They were one of the best teams in the state. They had Fond du Lac used to have a really good team. But anyway, so that was my hometown. We go up there, we got our butts cleaned bad. I think we lost by like 20 or whatever. They really took it to us. And people were upset. Johnny Allen, people were pretty upset about that. So then flash forward to this, it was kind of a little bit of a revenge thing, but it wasn't easy. With my brother Dick, I'm pretty tight with him, and I remember we were both kind of a little upset after the game. You don't like to. Even though we used to go at it in the driveway, but when it becomes like this at the state tournament and stuff, it's not a good situation when you're playing against your brother, But I tell you what, we played a good game, and I'm proud of that game.
Yeah, man. We had a lot of good.
Yeah, anytime you hold a team to 4 points, man, it was like 28-4.
Yeah, something crazy.
It was. It was. We had in the upper. Yeah, we took care of them, man. They couldn't do much.
Oh my God. And DIENER, I want to let you know I really do appreciate you because coming into Vincent, I ain't know shit. I learned up the line.
You still don't know much, do you?
Crazy. No, I know a lot, man. Yeah, well, I know enough. I ain't gonna say a lot. I know enough, but man, just I always felt like I was a competitor. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things you did like about, you know, not just me, our group. You know what I'm saying? So, but I always want to tell you that I appreciate you teaching me. You know, and shout out to my dog John Allen, man. You know, he taught me a lot, man. But man, moving forward, dude, you got a chance to also have another good group with Boo Wade, Greg Brown, Carl Landry, Wante, and then we got the transfer Dion. Man, tell us about that, because when I talked to Greg Brown felt like he lost his y'all lost his senior year because he wasn't a leader. Do you agree with that? Because we seen Greg Brown play good that whole year, and then play against Tulsa East. And what you think?
Well, we were definitely more talented than Tulsa East. I mean, they had Alan Hansen, and Alan hit the game winner. He went coast to coast on us. That's one situation where I wish I could get back, because Allen went coast to coast to win the game, and man, that's just not the way we played. We always stopped the ball, and I don't think I prepared our guys enough going out there to stop that. Anyway, they had a good team, and George Haas is a good coach, and they were disciplined and all that kind of stuff. But that group of guys was really talented. Greg is, I mean, in terms of get me a bucket, I mean, that's Greg Buckets Brown. You know, I mean, he was just a phenomenal. That game, it was against King where he had 40 and he's dunking and shooting. And then, he was a little bit inconsistent, but he was a great player. I could never really get those guys to really get on the same exact page as they needed to be, and I think that has to do with because they're so talented. It's hard to take a bunch of guys offensively talented, like with some of them earlier groups, we were able to define, Randers could shoot, and the guys, we put them this way, but when you got Brown and Boo Wade and Wante could score in the post, and you had some guys on offense that could really score some numbers. And I think it was harder then for them to be unselfish consistently, to play together consistently. And then I think on the defensive end, it was a little bit more, it was hard. I'll tell you, one of the best guys I ever coached was Tatum, Deontay Tatum. I mean, if you ever ask me, well, who are the best guys, that you coached, and who are the best high school guys, Deontay Tatum was. You talk about a fierce competitor. Yeah. No, Deontay Tatum was a fierce competitor, and he learned to compete both ways, against himself and against his opponent. And without him, he was the key guy in winning those couple of state championships. But so to answer your question, with guys, it's that chemistry thing and playing together thing. It's harder when you have a lot more offensive ability and talent. So I wouldn't say that Greg. I think Greg's being a little bit harsh on himself there in terms of that wasn't his nature. Greg was a quiet guy. Greg was a good guy. He was a quiet guy. He just wanted to go. He just liked to hoop, man, and play and get buckets and stuff. And some guys are like that. You can't change your personality. I always say, as a coach, you got to coach your personality. And I think as a player, you got to that's the way. Will was a quiet guy. Just played. And some guys are a little more vocal, a little more leader. But man, Greg get some buckets.
How tall is John, dude? He tall as hell.
Yeah.
He was right there, like getting something to drink.
Oh yeah.
He tall as hell.
You right there, though.
Yeah.
How tall is John?
He 6'4".
Oh, damn.
Yeah, no, he's a damn good player. Yeah.
Where did he get his height from, man? You short, man.
I think my wife's side of the family. She's got two brothers that are 6'6", and the other one's 6'5". So I think they're probably over there.
But when I left Vincent, of course I went junior college. But when while I was in junior college, I heard that you left Vincent to go to Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like, what was that issue about? Like, you think it was just time for a change?
Yeah, I
or
do. I think it was
it's
time for a change. Erkins was getting towards the end of her career, and the focus wasn't the same. And I lived down there. I lived close to Hamilton, and I just kind of thought it was time for a change, pretty much. Yeah, and I was lucky to get that job at Hamilton, and then a lot of those kids all decided to come over to Hamilton. Yeah, that was a great thing, because Lou Chapman was at Bayview, was the head coach at Bayview at the time, I think, where he was involved with those kids. And Bayview, the school was going to heck, going under lots of problems there, and so those kids wanted to get out of there. So
you got like Charlie, Hockey, all them, Harris,
Darnell Harris, and that crew. I mean, those guys, Charlie was a heck of a player. Yeah, so I was fortunate. Yeah, I liked it there, and I had a good principal, supported me, and we had a great staff, and I had fun there for those 5 years. Yeah. Lots of fun. Yeah.
Now, did you catch backlash for that? Because because you get hired at Hamilton, big time coach.
Yeah, they were saying I recruited the players or whatever. Whatever. My deal on that is, it's like, the kids should be allowed to go wherever they want. I don't care what color they are. I don't care who they are. Kids deserve the best education they can get and the best athletic experience they can get. So dang it, go where you want to go.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the college game has gotten to. Now they're letting guys transfer, and that's a good thing. For years, some college guys were controlled.
Yeah.
They're like, I mean, it wasn't good. Now they got some control. If they don't like their coach or they don't like their situation, boom, they're out.
You okay with the transfer?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I am, just because I'm all for the kids, and I think that they always say, oh, the kids get educated. You know what I see? I see college. I see a lot of kids, inner city kids, going to play college basketball. They don't get degrees, and they don't go to the NBA. They don't go to Europe, and then what do they got? Not a lot.
Yeah.
And that's got to stop. And if they can transfer and find a better situation, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
These coaches are getting paid $3-5 million. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. So I'm really kind of down on the college coaches and the college scene and all that kind of stuff. I think it's good for players to have the freedom to leave.
Yeah. Now, is this a true story, Diener? Because I know you got a chance to coach Trey Jefferson and Kavon.
Yeah.
When Duke came in there to recruit Looney, did Trey Jefferson really stop practice and pull himself up on the rim? I always heard this story, Diener, for you.
No. I don't even think Trey Jefferson played in that game. No, he didn't play in that game. I don't think he did. I'm not sure if he did or not. But what happened with Trey was, I mean, talk about buckets. Buckets, but I mean, Trey just wouldn't listen to anybody. I mean, I think if Jesus was standing right there, Trey wasn't going to listen to him, So, I mean, Trey just wouldn't listen to anybody. He could really fill it up. So he didn't last too long with me. I think he played 3-5 games or whatever, and it's a sad deal. I know he did pretty good down in Texas. He did a good job down there, but no, he didn't. I don't remember too many significant things with Trey at Hamilton. I just remember that he wouldn't listen, and that kind of stuff. He just wouldn't. He wasn't coachable. I mean, and so that was kind of hard. But that was interesting when Duke came in there. Coach K came in there. We didn't play well, man. I went off at halftime. Because what happened there is our guys we were playing good basketball, but what can happen with teams when you go to state or there's a big game where everybody's going to be watching and stuff, kids can get away from knowing who they are and their role. Because all of a sudden they got this spotlight. And so I was always like at the state tournament, I was always, hey, let's know who we are, let's keep playing the way we play and all that kind of stuff. So, Coach K is coming in, and there he is. And so the first half, man, our kids just played. Not Looney. Looney was the most steady, consistent guy ever. but and they were beating our butt, and and they were pressing us, and we just weren't playing the way that, the way I expect to play. And so, man, at halftime, I mean, I seriously went off. I mean, I rolled the ball down. I was diving on jump balls. I mean, I was like...
Same thing you did with us.
Yeah, no, I was fighting mad because I was just, here's Coach K, and he comes in and we're just playing like this, from a coaching standpoint, like, I got some pride, man. My teams don't play like that. Well, yeah. But they were all fired up because Coach K was there, and we just got away from who we were, and we weren't playing. Mm-hmm. But that was pretty cool to have him there, though, especially in that gym.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right in the heart of Milwaukee there. That gym is...
That was at Washington, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
that gym is special, man. Back in the day, the mayor used to come to our games, and... it's interesting stuff, yeah.
I remember hearing about that. I'm like, whoa, what on? Coach K went to Washington?
Yeah. Well, Looney was. I mean, I actually Duke. I called Duke. I called Duke early on because I thought he was kind of a Duke player. He was so smart and disciplined and all that kind of stuff. And so I called Wojo when I think Caban was in like 9th or 10th grade. I said, listen, this kid's going to be there at the end. Yeah. So then I think Duke did end up being, I'm not even sure if they were one of his 5 or not, but it was interesting to have him there. Yeah. But we've had over the years, I met all them big time coaches, and all them guys came in, especially with Looney, man. The best thing we did at Hamilton, we had practice at 6 in the morning.
Oh, come on.
6 in the morning. Yes. And you know where I got that? I got that from John Chaney, who was the coach at Temple, many, many years ago. And I actually had played against him when I was at UW Green Bay. He was the head coach at Chaney State. We played each other, and I got to talk with him a little bit. And he always practiced at 5:30 in the morning. So at Hamilton, we practiced at 6. Ask Charlie and ask Darnell and those guys. Yeah, 6 o'clock. That's when we practiced before school. It was the best thing I ever did. It was great. Elgin Cook, we had him. Elgin, man. Elgin's a pro player, man. He's just unreal. So that was a good thing, practicing in the morning. I really liked that, and we got a lot out of it. But I had a great staff. We'd pick the kids up in the morning. They all lived on the north side, so we'd pick them up in the morning, get them there, and we'd go after it, man.
Yeah. Now, remember you said when you seen Looney in 8th grade, you was like, that kid is going to be special. Yeah. I already knew you felt that when you came to Hamilton. Yeah. Did you think Carl Landry was the handpicked out of all the talent to go to the NBA?
Yeah. Carl is such a great story, such a good person, and good player, but he was just a raw athlete, man. He was just like a jumping jack, man. He was just raw. He had no skill whatsoever, and he didn't have good balance. So he his balance was bad, and so he didn't really play that much for me because we were loaded with, we had Duante. Duante could score and do a lot of stuff. So there's such a thing as late bloomers, Looney's actually a late bloomer, but there's guys that are late bloomers that just keep going, and that's what Carl was, man. And I give all the credit to his 2 college coaches that he had in junior college for 2 years. That guy really developed him, and then he went to Purdue, and the coach at Purdue is one of the best with big guys. Yeah. And so Carl, for 4 years, he got 2 years in junior college that he got great coaching, individual skill development, and then he got the same thing at Purdue. And by the time he was at Purdue, you could see, how great a player he was. Yeah. I think he was. I used to love watching him play in the NBA because he never made mistakes. He could play the whole game and not have a mistake. I mean, in terms of he'd always get the rebound that he's supposed to get. His movement was so measured. He knew exactly where he had to be or how to slide or where to be on the floor. He's a lot like Looney. He played a lot like Looney plays that way. But yeah, he was really, really a great NBA player. But that's one I didn't see coming. Yeah. I didn't see him, developing the skill that he did. I didn't see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
And I know you hate comparison, Diener, but when we had these basketball talks, you know, you got people who say you more like a Phil Jackson, where you already have talent. How you feel about that statement?
Oh, it's way harder to teach, to take a bunch of talented kids and get them to play together and win.
Yeah.
See, like at Cedarburg, we didn't have a lot of talent at Cedarburg. That's easier. It's easier to take kids that aren't that talented. When I started coaching, I was more like a Bobby Knight, and then as I got going, I really became more like an Al McGuire. Al McGuire was an artist. Bobby Knight was a scientist. Coaching basketball is a combination of art and science. Man-to-man defense is a science. Art is more, player relationship and letting guys be free and doing all that kind of stuff. So I kind of grew into I think more like a Phil Jackson. I really do.
Yeah.
But don't ever underestimate my knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
And my system, the system that I have that we put in, is really an effective system because it's man-to-man defense and it's motion offense. But all the stuff that goes into that system, every single drill and the practices and the stuff. You remember our practices weren't very long; they're an hour and 15. But everything was geared towards competing, and it was teaching both ends of the ball. A lot of coaches, they'll teach, okay, now we're going to work on boxing out. Okay, let's go 3-on-3. They throw the ball up, go box out, and then they stop, and then they do. So. You got it's not as easy as you think to teach kids to compete and how to compete. And the system that I employed, I haven't seen a system like that at the high school level, wherever I've been. But one of the important things, like in practice, is that what I morphed into, and I don't think I was doing it when I was at Vincent, is when we would scrimmage or play 3-on-3, I would always allow the offensive team to rebound a made shot. So, like, let's say we're playing 3-on-3, okay? If you score a basket, you can take it out of the net and keep possession.
Yeah.
So what does that do to the game? That makes them defenders finish, because there's no finishing anymore. So I figured out early on a way to teach kids how to finish a play. Most of the drills that coaches do, they blow the whistle, stop. You gotta, like the rebounding thing. If you play 3-on-3, okay, we're gonna play up to 7 by ones, just by ones. So what kind of shot you're gonna take? You're not going to shoot threes, are you? No, if it's one guy. So all of a sudden you're going to be grinding to get it in there. And then if you can take the ball out of the net after a made shot, how physical is that going to get? Because now guys have to box out regardless. Yeah. There's no, it went in, we can, now we stop and we go. No, we keep playing. So that's so there's a lot of little things like that. So I don't know who the heck I am. I'm in terms of Phil Jackson and all those guys. I've had a lot of talent at Cedarburg. I didn't have much talent. I had my son. My son was one of the best players I've ever coached, without a doubt. Tough, skilled, man. He was good, and he was really a big part of the success at Cedarburg, because the kids that I inherited at Cedarburg didn't know how to compete, and they weren't very good. So I've had two ends of it. The other end of it at Cedarburg is taking kids that weren't very talented and making them. The good thing about Cedarburg is I had them for 4 years. I did a smart thing. I identified the 9th graders that I thought had some potential and took them right up to the varsity. So I had them for 4 years. By the time they came to the senior, they knew how to play.
They
knew how to play.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Remember, I came to a game.
Did you?
Yeah. Remember you called me up like, can you come to the?
Oh yeah.
We got a game. My son played. Boom, boom. I checked you out, man. And y'all. Yeah, man. John, man, real good. Yeah. You did a real good job. One thing I can say, me like playing for you before, it seemed like you kind of like was like a little bit more laid back than when we.
Well, yeah. Well,
Now you was more calm with that.
where at Cedarburg?
At Cedarburg.
Well,
at least the game I came to.
They're trying to fire me every 3 days.
But why? Why? Because you were
too
hard on
intense
me?
and too hard on the kids. You know, they had an article up here in the newspaper saying, you know, that I'm, you know, too hard on the kids. You know, I mean, it's just a totally different setting up here. But again, fortunately, I had John, and John was like Tatum in terms of his intensity and his competition. John was a beast. He brought it every practice, every minute, and that was the key. But yeah, I had to coach totally different up here. I mean, I had to keep my composure. I had, I mean, yeah, they're watching everything I did, because what happened is a lot of the parents, you know, because their kid wasn't scoring enough or whatever, the parents complain, oh, little Johnny's not getting enough baskets, and all this kind of stuff. Fortunately, the key was, again, John walked the walk. You know, John didn't take a bad shot, and he made most of them when he shot. And he dove for loose balls. He took charges. He did all that dirty stuff. Because if he hadn't done that, my ass would have been out of there real quick. Because them parents weren't having it. So those are two different situations that I'm really proud that I was able to do it in two venues, because you know, it's really interesting. I'll tell you what's interesting. When I got the job at Vincent, I would talk to people and they say, geez, how's he going to coach inner city, you know, African American kids? He doesn't have any experience, because I had been at St. Mary Springs, all white guys, you know, Muskego, all white guys. So there were these doubts about how's he going to do that. But then I had the success at Vince, and they said, oh, he's got all those players, he's got all those good players. Well, hell, that wasn't easy. And it took a village, you know, like I said. But then when I get the Cedarburg job, it flipped. Well, how's DIENER going to coach all these kids, these suburban kids, white suburban kids? Well, we did. So, you know, I'm really proud of the fact that I did it in two completely different settings. And it's a testament to the system of teaching kids how to compete by playing man-to-man defense, playing together, and defining roles. And that's everything, Q.
Yeah, that's everything. And you got a chance to coach against Coach Freddie Riley, you know, the state game.
Well, Freddie was with me at Hamilton, you know.
Yeah. So how was that, though, beating up with him, like when you was coaching Cedarburg?
Yeah, I really liked Freddie. You know, and Freddie had played at Hamilton. Freddie was a great player at Hamilton and went to state with Hamilton. I mean, I know all of it. But, yeah, Freddie was good at Hamilton. I liked having him around. Good guy, honest guy. I see he stepped down just recently. But anyway, I didn't. It was kind of felt like, you know, like my brother type of thing. You know, I mean, I felt bad for him because they were loaded with talent. I mean, they had enough talent to win the state title. I don't think it was tough. We were a good team. Again, that's what he didn't get beat by a bad team. I mean, that Cedarburg
and John was on fire too.
Yeah, and at Cedarburg I only played 5 guys. My sixth guy was like, you know, actually we played 5 1/4. We had a 6th guy that if we had to, you know, but
So you played a 5 1/4.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I had 5 guys and I kept them all there. I had them since 9th grade, and so they got to be really good players, you know. And that's just the way it is. And you know, I'm sorry if I'm going to offend anybody.
No, I love it.
At least I know that they can't fire me anymore at Cedarburg, so I can kind of say what I want to say.
DIENER said 5 1/4, dude. Oh Lord, man. And a lot of people don't know that either, DIENER. That even when you coached us and these other teams, that you 7-man rotation.
No, I've always believed in it. See, that's the way. That's the Bobby Knight and Dick Bennett in me. You know, those guys. That's the way they kind of did it, because a big part of it is that chemistry and continuity. You know, and you know, it took a while for you to break in there. I remember early on you were sitting the bench. Was it your junior year? Or I remember that. Yeah, that it's like, geez, why don't I get some ticks, you know, and stuff like that. And I always It's funny how that's changed now, because you look at the NBA and they got 15 guys and it don't matter who they got out there because they're all really good. But in high school, it's not like that. In high school, you can always, there's a line somewhere. Maybe it's like I said, at Cedarburg, it was 5. Most places you can get that line to 7 or 8. And I think 8's probably the ideal, a backup guard, backup big, and a backup forward. And then you get the chemistry and the continuity going. So that was always my mindset. 7 or 8, something like that. And I also believe that I'd rather have a really tired, great player, like whatever, Jose or Looney or whatever, dog tired. I'd rather have him out there than a not so good player to sub him in. And so I would play my guys through fatigue. And then a lot of guys, the smart ones, I would play through if they had 3 fouls or 4. Coaches always, my rule is I take them out. Like, Jesus Christ. You got a guy like Jose, he ain't going to get fouled out. He's smart. He's just not going to do it, And so that kind of stuff, too. So,
oh, man. He said a 5 in the court.
Well, see, a lot of guys, they don't know.
They don't know.
Oh, I better play little Johnny because, his mom's up there and it's his birthday, or whatever. Nah, we're playing to win here. You see the score clock up there? Yeah. I'm playing the best players. Now, I'm the guy who decides who the best players are. Yeah. You might think you know, but you don't. I know. And that's got to be that way. Yeah. And that's the way I rolled.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I can say too, Diener, you of course you're a tough coach, man, but the Diener family is tough. Like when I used to watch Travis Diener play at Marquette, he just reminded me so much of you.
Yeah, he's a
so how close for y'all?
I
know that's your nephew.
Yeah, real close. I mean, I used to work him out a little bit when he was a kid, younger kid and stuff, and. Those nephews are, there was Drake played at DePaul, Drew played at St. Louis, and Travis played, at Marquette. So all 3 of those guys were really good. And I spent a lot of time with them when they were little. I knew them real well.
Okay.
But Travis is, you talk about a guy that, again, I'm going to get back to, learning how to compete not only against the opponent, but against himself. Travis is just a beastie player. And the thing about Travis is, when the lights were the brightest, that's when he played the best. And it had to be that way, otherwise he would have never gone to the NBA. When the attention was on them, like at the in the tournament, and then when he had to go to those camps, those preseason camps and stuff, he always, he just lit it up and played off because he was so mentally tough, and that's why he got into the NBA because of that. Yeah, he was a fierce competitor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now, man, Diener, you got a chance to be on the coaching staff when the McDonald's All-American game came here. Yeah. We all know that Coach Guys is also a great coach, Hall of Fame coach. Yeah. Even though he was the head coach.
No. We're co-assistants.
You was assistant.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're both head coaches.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They had 2 of us there.
Okay.
Who said that? Who said he was the head coach? What the? You're some real bullshit there.
No, I heard that from you.
You're talking to all the haters, man.
No, probably did.
No, we were co-coaches. But that game was fun. We had fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, but it really wasn't coaching. Who was on our team was the Bucks player, the guard. What's his name?
Chris Middleton?
No, the other.
Brandon Jennings.
Drew Holiday?
Holiday. Oh. Yeah, Holiday. And so it's funny. Yeah, Holiday was in that game. And so, he was too. But I'm mentioning him because right before they won the championship, my wife and I ran into Holiday down here in Mequon at a restaurant. And we walked by and I got by him. I said, shit, I got to go. And so I went back. I said, "Hey, Holiday." He said, "Yeah, I coached you in the McDonald's." Yeah, of course, he didn't know. And I got a picture with him. It was kind of cool. He's a good guy, man.
Yeah, he is.
No, that game was really exciting. I'll tell you, the game that was really much more prestigious to coach was in 2006 or 5, I think it was. I coached the Team USA 18 and under team against the international team. It was on live TV down in Memphis. And I was down there for a week. So we had the best 10 players in the United States. And they all ended up in the NBA. Monte Ellis and Sweet Lou Williams were on the team. And so I was selected to coach that team. And it was on live on ESPN. And the practices were conducted at the Memphis Grizzlies site. And so when we would practice, because these guys were all like lottery pick guys, I remember like I met and talked to Jerry West. At the time, Jerry West was the head of president, I think, of the Grizzlies. But all these guys were Chris Mullins and all these former NBA guys were there watching my practice.
Yeah.
Shit, can you imagine that? I'm rolling in there.
Yeah.
I'm rolling in. There's like 200 of the NBA bigwigs looking at these guys because they're trying to figure out the lottery and where to pick them and stuff, and so they could come and watch our practices. So I'd have a practice in the morning, a practice in the afternoon, and it was all these guys. Isaiah Thomas was there, and all these guys were there. I mean, on and on. I could give you a whole bunch of guys, and I had to conduct these practices. You talk about
nice and intense.
Yeah, I did it the same way, man. As a matter of fact, the first practice, again, I remember when that thing with Rodney where I pulled them out, we played and all that to get their attention. I did kind of the same thing here. So picture all these guys up there. We had the 10 guys out there, and I wanted to get their attention because this is kind of an all-star thing, and these guys are down. So we ran a drill where I took a really big guy against another big. We had Tyler Hansborough.
Oh yeah, he was a
beast.
Man.
So I had this other player, big guy, box Tyler out. And at the time, I didn't know too much about these guys, and I shot it up. I said, "We're gonna, do a little demonstration here. I want you to box out." So Hansborough charges the basket to get the rebound and just throws this huge dude into the wall. And I go, "Oh, the kid wasn't ready." So we do it again. Same thing happened. Boom, into the wall. I did it a third time. Same thing. He just drilled him it's a box out drill. The two guys are at the free throw line. I'm on the short corner. I'm just throwing one up there, and then they got to go at it and box out.
Yeah.
Hansborough laid the guy out 3 times in a row. Now, picture Jerry West and all these big-time NBA guys. I to this day, I wonder, what do they think of that drill? But anyway, I got their dang attention, and, we're going to play. We're going to box out and whatnot. Yeah, we won. We beat the international team by about 10. Yeah. But that was really an honor. To coach. That was actually coaching. I think I had 2 days to coach them up, and they wanted to win. And they wanted to win that. They wanted to beat the international team.
Yeah, that's so dope. Oh my God, Diener, you seem like you sent that guy off, man. Them getting ran over 3 times in a row, man. Yeah. But so once John graduated from CEDARBURG, is that when you retired from basketball? I mean, coaching basketball?
I did, yeah. It was his last year. I wasn't interested too much in staying at CEDARBURG, and I really haven't found anything since then. It's like, there aren't really good jobs out there now. What I learned was that if you're going to take a job, you got to have the support of the principal and the community and whatnot. And I had that great experience at Vincent, and it kind of got spoiled. And then at CEDARBURG, it wasn't so easy. So I don't really want to go back into that. So, what I miss is the camaraderie and the competition. I don't miss the crappy officiating. I don't miss the racism that I had to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
I don't miss a lot of it, I miss the teaching. I like teaching, But I just haven't found a spot. And I'm sure now it's great. I'm an old man now.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy. I mean, I was pretty intense. I mean, I brought it, so I don't think I have that anymore.
Yeah. Who they said 2005 our class gave you gray hair. You agree with that?
My gray hair started early, man. Long time ago, man.
They said, man, y'all class gave Diener gray hair, man.
You guys,
Yeah, but I remember talking to you on the phone, Diener, and you was telling me about your son. He went to
I always get the schools mixed up. Was it Drake?
He
or
went
Paul?
to DePaul. He played. He played with her Struess. You know the guy Struess.
Max Struess?
He was on Struess's team, and there's another player that he played with. Reed plays for Philadelphia. You know Reed?
Oh yeah.
That athletic dude.
Yeah. Reed. Yeah.
So he's got some stories. So he went there for a year, sat the bench, and didn't like it. And then he decided that he wants to go to school to be a physician, a doctor.
Okay.
And so he transferred out to UC San Diego, and he played a couple years out there. Didn't play that much because his school load was hard. The classes he takes, plus they had COVID. So he had a year that didn't even play and all that kind. So he never really ended up playing college basketball. Basically, he was on scholarship at DePaul and out in San Diego, and he graduated, and now he's back and he's applying to medical schools right now.
That's
so
really
he'll be going to medical school next year. Yeah, he's going to be a doctor. So I'm happy about that because here's the thing. This is the real big picture with if you're a teacher and a coach at the high school level and I alluded to it a little bit about those college kids that they go to play college basketball and they come out with no education, they don't get a degree, they don't all that bothers me because I always felt that this whole idea of competing, if you learn how to compete as a basketball player, you need to somehow be able to transfer that over and learn how to compete in society when the air's out of the ball.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of guys stay in coaching, and that's fine, but if you're going to be successful coach, you got to be able to compete. So this whole competition thing is important to me as a teacher and a coach. And, you said, that maybe I taught you some intensity and how to compete and stuff. I hope so, because that's really important, because I think you have to be able to transfer that intensity, that commitment, because we're all competing. Like you got this podcast, you're competing.
Yeah,
you got to bring it, man.
Yeah.
You got to bring it if you want to have people watch. You're competing, so hopefully you've learned how to compete. And there's been some transference from the athletic field to real life, and that's I think really important. My son John. That's what very proud of him. I think he could have really been a great college player had he really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, as a medical student and as a student, he really competes his butt off. He works hard and he competes.
That's good.
So that's that whole competition thing. There's a lot to that, man.
Yeah, and he doing something great, man. And with you loving basketball so much and coaching so long, and seeing John put the work in, was it a part of you that was kind of sad though?
Well, for sure. For sure. Because I know how good he is. That's the thing. He's really, really good. And when he went to DePaul, he didn't like it, and he just didn't like it. He just wasn't having fun, and so he was kind of afraid to tell me I don't know if I like it or whatnot and stuff like that. But I was able to accept it when he decided that he wanted to be a physician and a doctor, and then he went that route. You got to let people do what they want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm glad he figured that out, because in the end he wasn't going to play in the NBA. He wasn't going to make money playing basketball, so. But, I love the game, and he's such a good player. I would have loved to have seen him play a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Because I just told you a story earlier that I scared my son away from basketball, so, and I was a little sad about that, so, with your son.
Yeah, you can be too intense, with your kids. You got to let them, you got to let them be what they're going to be, I think,
Yeah, and damn, Diener, forgive me for this, man. Because you my dog, man. You just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, what?
Mouth. Get your hand.
Oh, my bad. You just got inducted to the Hall of Fame. What year?
A couple years ago, maybe.
A couple years ago, man. How did that make you feel?
I'm gonna tell it like it is. That Hall of Fame is kind of, everybody goes in the Hall of Fame. It's not really a real Hall of Fame. It's just not. Because if you coach high school basketball, I think it's 10 years, you can go 0-1,000 and you're in. So that's what that's all about. And so I don't really like that whole thing that way. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I really happy that I had Gloria Erkins there, I had Rick Polk there, I had Gary DePerry there, and then I had, you know, Jose and Robert and some of my James Wright and Tyrone Roan, and I hope I'm not missing anybody, but I had some key guys there for me. Because in the end, it's all about the people. I mean, I just can't say enough about, you know. So Gloria, you know, I think she lives down in Mississippi a lot of the year. And she came up and went over to Madison, you know, and Jose was over there, and Rick Polk, you know, Polk's nobody better than Rick Polk. And, you know, and Gary and I were together in the beginning, you know, and really been friends with him. So it's not, all these awards and all this stuff, when you get, you know, the championships and all that, it really, you know, you guys are here, man. It makes me happy, man. Yeah. It's really happy to see you guys, and you're doing well, and you're successful, and you know, that's what it's really all about. That Hall of Fame and the that stuff all kind of goes away, you know, and it comes back down to the people. So
yeah, for sure. So last question, Dean, before I
No.
Last question, man. It might be tough, Dean, because you coach a lot of good people. If you had to make a starting five, who would it be?
I can't do that.
You gonna get a lot of phone calls, text messages.
I can't do that. You know. Because you know why I can't do that is because that's why I hate comparing like great players like LeBron and they're, you know, because it rolls. You know, you know, kids have different roles and whatnot. You know, but. And then you know I tend to go towards the guys that win. You know, like when, like this year in the NBA. You know, I think Joker should have got it this year because it looks like they're going to win it, and I think they should award that after the season's over. So I'm like a Bill Russell guy, you know, that kind of thing. But having said that, you know, I mean, Kevon Looney is, you know, he was, I mean, really special player, you know. I can't say that I coached a better player than Kevon Looney, you know, because he was so tall and, you know, could do so much. And I tell you, Kevon Looney never took a bad shot. Never took a bad shot. You know, he always just played to win. And just a great player. So can't name it. I can say this: you two wouldn't be on there.
That was a good one, man. But man, there y'all have it, man. Y'all got my dog Tom Diener, man. We pulled up on him, man. Thank you for letting us come out here and shoot it, man. This means a lot. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you have a long resume, and I know you got plenty more stories. You know, whoever watching, I'm sorry that we couldn't touch all of them, but you know, you told us enough, man. And I appreciate you, Diener, coming to the Barcode Podcast 414. For real, I really appreciate that. And don't forget, y'all, set the bar and stick to the code. Me and my boy Tom Diener is out.